Welcome back to part 3 of our 5-part explainer series, diving into the massive footprint of AI data centers right here in America. Today, we are unpacking a really fascinating central mystery, one that has massive implications for all of us. Why can no one seem to agree on exactly how much energy and water artificial intelligence actually consumes? I mean, the stakes here are absolutely enormous, but the data? It is completely divided. So, to help us separate fact from fiction, we're relying on a deep dive into an April 2026 report from Virtualization Options LLC. They're a Colorado-based technology research and advisory group, and specifically, we're looking at Chapter 3 of their audit. They break down the stark contrasts in research results, the potential industry biases at play, and importantly, documented cases where political pressure actually influenced environmental policy. We're going to keep things strictly businesslike and entirely objective as we walk through the evidence they've laid out. Here is a quick roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the AI resource debate, move into conflicting power projections, uncover the hidden water footprint, examine industry bias, look at political pressure, and finally, build a framework for navigating genuine uncertainty. Okay, Section 1, the AI resource debate. High stakes, contested data. What's absolutely wild about this situation is that massive generational decisions regarding grid investment, utility rates, and carbon policies are currently being made based on wildly conflicting numbers. The answers you get vary by enormous margins depending on who you ask, who is funding the research, and what assumptions are secretly baked into their models. Which brings us to Section 2, conflicting power projections. Let's really look at our first major audit point. How much electricity are these AI facilities actually going to use? Well, the divide is staggering. On one hand, you have the International Energy Agency. They're basically our independent baseline. They project global demand surging past 1,000 terawatt hours by 2026, driven by a massive 34% spike in 2024 alone. But then, in stark contrast, you have the Electric Power Research Institute, or EPRI. They project that U.S. data centers alone will consume an aggressive 380 to 450 terawatt hours by 2030. That is up to 14% of all U.S. electricity. Now, critics are quick to point out that EPRI's models rely on incredibly aggressive AI adoption assumptions while modeling pretty modest efficiency gains. So, why does this matter to us? Well, inflating demand forecasts happens to perfectly align with utility interests when it comes to justifying massive, ratepayer-funded grid expansions. The crucial thing here is understanding how these inflated numbers actually get built. Independent researchers like Jesse Jenkins from Princeton University's Zero Lab have pointed out some major methodological errors in these industry forecasts. Jenkins noted that groups like Goldman Sachs literally conflated announced data center capacity with actual power draw. Since a lot of these announced facilities never actually reach full operational capacity, and because future efficiency improvements get mostly ignored, the projected power draw gets artificially pumped way up. And speaking of efficiency improvements, they are definitely not hypothetical. In a pretty surprising finding by the Rocky Mountain Institute, advancements in chip architecture, specifically looking at NVIDIA's Blackwell GPUs, could actually slash energy per computation by a massive 30 to 40%. When you bake these concrete hardware efficiencies back into the models, it fundamentally alters those alarming sky-high demand pictures painted by the utilities. Moving on to Section 3, the hidden water footprint. If you think the power debate is contested, just wait. The divide between academic transparency and industry evasion regarding local watershed impact is even starker. So let's just ask the direct, localized question that pretty much every single community hosting a data center wants to know. How much water does AI training actually use? 700,000 liters. That is the peer-reviewed estimate published in the journal Nature by researchers at UC Riverside. That's the amount of water required to train a single large language model comparable to GPT-3, once you include the upstream consumption. This is hard, independent academic data. But when you contrast that academic transparency with the industry's response, it's pretty eye-opening. Microsoft, who actually funded and hosted the training for GPT-3, has never published its own estimate for that training run. In fact, when their CFO, Amy Hood, was directly asked about the UC Riverside figure on an earnings call, she totally deflected. She pointed to improvements in newer data center designs rather than confirming or denying that specific historical estimate. The report highlights this as a textbook example of how industry bias often operates simply through deflection and omission. To really ground these abstract concepts in reality, let's look at Google's own sustainability data for 2024. Their total water consumption reached 5.2 billion gallons. That's an 11% increase since 2022. To put a local lens on this, their facility in Council Bluffs, Iowa alone consumed 1 billion gallons. And on an individual level, running an inference query on their Gemini AI uses about 0.25 milliliters of water per text prompt. That's roughly the size of a few teardrops. It sounds incredibly small, right? But when you scale that across billions of queries every single day, the local ecological impact becomes massive. Which brings us to sections 4 and 5. With these massive resource demands, you would naturally expect robust regulatory oversight. But the Virtualization Options Report objectively details a troubling trend. Federal agencies are actually adjusting their scientific posture and policy stances under pressure from the current administration. Mapping this out neutrally, we can clearly see a rapid sequence of regulatory rollbacks targeting the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. In February 2024, the Council on Environmental Quality issued an interim rule that formally removed NEPA's implementing regulations. That officially took effect in April. Then, in just a few short months, by July 2024, the EPA updated its own compliance procedures to reflect changes in administration priorities, and a complete overhaul is scheduled for fiscal year 2025. So the procedural requirements for environmental impact statements aren't just lagging behind the technology, they're being rapidly and formally dismantled at the federal level, pulling down the very guardrails that traditionally constrained infrastructure development. Finally, Section 6, Navigating Genuine Uncertainty. As professionals following this space, you are going to encounter a lot of conflicting data in the coming years. Beyond the industry bias and political rollbacks we just covered, there is genuine scientific uncertainty about the long-term trajectory of AI hardware efficiency and where these facilities will ultimately be built. You really need a framework to evaluate future claims. Fortunately, the report provides this highly actionable trustworthiness ranking. Let's walk through it together. Sitting at number 1, the gold standard, is the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. They have high historical credibility, though the report does advise monitoring them for the exact political pressure we just discussed. Number 2, specifically for water research, is UC Riverside. They are highly credible, peer-reviewed, with absolutely no industry funding conflicts. Number 3 is the Rocky Mountain Institute, a strong, independent source that retains editorial control even with some corporate funding. And at number 4, EPRI. While they are technically very sophisticated, their structural conflicts mean you should treat their forecasts as absolute upper-bound estimates driven by utility interests. Definitely keep this trustworthiness framework in mind the next time you read a flashy headline about AI resource consumption. So, we'll leave you with this final thought. When independent research conflicts with industry projections, and when political pressures start dismantling the oversight meant to protect our local resources, how will you weigh the true cost of AI when the data itself is so heavily contested? It's a critical question for all of us, especially as this massive infrastructure continues to rapidly expand right in our backyards. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really look forward to diving into part 4 of this series with you next time.